So good morning, everybody. My name is Todd Corrigal with the Prince George Chamber of Commerce. We're going to get started here. I know people are going to join us as we're rolling along here, but we're not going to punish the punctual, so we're going to get started here as close to on time as possible. So again, my name is Todd Corrigal. I'm the current CEO with the Prince George Chamber of Commerce, and we're happy to be joining you here today from the traditional territory of the Lheidli T'enneh. And certainly want to thank our partners here in Prince George, Pattison Media and Scotiabank, for their ongoing support of the Prince George Chamber and the initiatives that we bring forward. Of course, this program was presented by Talent Forward, and we can't thank them enough for their participation and the tremendous amount of work that has gone on behind the scenes in delivering this. So something that we started working on a number of years ago was a partnership with UNBC and CNC, and what that did was created this environment where we were able to bring student talent to the business community, and the businesses could reap the benefits of that work. And from that was developed by our phenomenal facilitator here today, we were able to strengthen the bonds with both the institutions here in our community. And from that, ITA became a valuable partner for our chamber and certainly for our community. So without further ado, no one's here to listen to me speak. It is my pleasure to introduce Christy Ray, who's going to be the fantastic facilitator / moderator today. And I'm going to read a brief bio here that I'm sure Christy wrote for me, so it's very, very eloquent and very, very well defined. So Christy is a self-professed Northern girl, originally from Smithers, BC. Christy attended the University of Northern BC as one of the first students to complete a degree on the current campus. She went on to work in a marketing capacity for several private sector businesses, primarily serving and supplying the natural resources sector. That led to project management roles with community initiatives designed to recruit and retain skilled labor to Prince George. Christy owned and managed a small home-based business for several years and was the best CEO of the Prince George Chamber of Commerce between 2013 and 2017, before taking on her current role as Senior Advisor Business Development in UNBC's Business Services Division. That's the formal introduction of Christy. And I'd be remiss if I didn't add on to this, and I know Christy was probably half expecting I would add something to this. Christy is a tremendous member of our community. She works very, very hard at building up Prince George and building up our business community, and has been an invaluable resource to myself and our team moving forward. So Christy, we are so thankful that you continue to work and stay in Prince George. And with that, I will hand it over to you.
Wow, well, thank you, Todd. I almost don't know what to say to an introduction like that. I knew you were going to supplement the info I gave you, but I wasn't quite sure what to expect. So thank you very much. Honestly, it is such a pleasure to be here and to help out today. I really miss my chamber days and the strong connection to the business community. And this was really a perfect opportunity for me to help businesses and students alike, as there are so many benefits on both sides to work integrated learning scenarios. So we have a very packed agenda for today's session with much great information to pass along. Before we get started, I will point out and encourage attendees to use the Q&A function at any time throughout the session. We plan to have the speakers present first and then open up to questions closer to the end. So if you do submit a question that pertains specifically to one person or organization, please do mention that as well. It will really help me to ensure questions are directed appropriately. Also, the session is being recorded and will be available afterwards on the PG Chamber website. So I'm told to point out that participants will not be recorded or will not be visible in the recording. So don't worry if you're eating your lunch or whatever else you're up to, nobody will be able to see that after the fact. So on that note, we will begin with introduction of our sponsor and an overview of WIL, Work Integrated Learning. So it's my pleasure to introduce Kristen van de Grient. Kristen is the Program Manager for the Talent Forward, a program run through the BC Chamber of Commerce and ACE WIL.
Great, thank you so much. So it's just a real delight to be here today and to be the sponsor for this webinar. I did want to address before I go into my presentation that someone had asked about getting the call-in information. So have put that into the Q&A and as well into the chat. So if you did want to call in for audio, you can do that. All right, so I wanted to just share just really briefly what Talent Forward is and why we're involved in this webinar. So the Talent Forward program, we're a program that's run under the BC Chamber of Commerce and a professional association called ACE-WIL. And ACE-WIL is an organization that supports work-integrated learning programming at public post-secondary institutions. And our program is really an awareness program. We want to help businesses understand how they can use student talent in their business in a way that's going to benefit students and their learning, but also really benefit organizations as well. So the things that we do, we put on events like this. We've developed some resources, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well, to support you in working with student talent. And we also have some advising support that we provide as well. So today, what I would like to do is I'd like to just share a really brief overview with you about student talent programming at the post-secondary level here in BC. So most commonly, we call student talent programming at public post-secondaries, we call it work-integrated learning. And the kind of hallmark of work-integrated learning is that it's a specific program that the students can take as part of whatever education they're doing. So whether it's a certificate, a diploma, a degree, a master's, but it's a formal part of their program and their academic study. So sometimes you'll also hear us talk about work-integrated learning, or we call it WIL for the abbreviation. You'll also hear us talk about it and call it experiential learning as well. So what it is it's really a chance for students to take what they're learning at the post-secondary level and apply it in a workplace or in a practice setting. You're going to always see a partnership between organizations, the post-secondary students, and the school itself. And generally, a lot of the work-integrated learning, it is paid, but there are definitely some types of programming that you can participate in that is actually unpaid as well. And the goal at the end of the day is for students to really build skills and to get experience that's going to allow them to participate in the labor market in a meaningful way. At the same time, we're really looking for businesses to benefit as well by having students come into their organization. So that's a little bit about what it looks like across post-secondary institutions. And then as well, we just wanted to talk about some of the ways that you can work with students. So there are a number of different types of work-integrated learning programs that you can use in your organization. And our wonderful presenters today from CNC and UNBC are going to go into more detail about what these programs look like at their specific institutions. We wanted to kind of just give you a bit of a lay of the land, help you understand what that looks like just overall. So what's really great is that there's kind of different types of WIL programs that you can use, and there's one that can probably work for almost any organization. And there's everything from bringing a student on as an employee for a short amount of time, or having them come on maybe like a project type of basis as well. So you can see here that we've listed some different examples of types of WIL programs that are available here in BC. The first one is that there is applied research projects. So this is for businesses who have something that they want, some type of research that they want to have done. It could be like a design project, or it could be a consulting project. And this is where students are able to actually come in and support that organization in engaging in that research. I'm sure many of you are familiar with apprenticeship as well. So this is where students can actually go to school and then come into the workplace and learn their trade in the workplace under the direction of a certified journey person. We're really lucky today to have Kristen from ITA here as well to talk a little bit about how you can partner with ITA to get information that you need to bring apprentices on board. Cooperative education is probably one of the most popular models of working with students in BC. Cooperative education is where students are alternating academic and work terms. And so when we say work term, that's normally a 4-month term where students are able to take what they've learned in school and actually go into the workplace, be paid for what they do, and support the employer and really learn the skills that they need. We have field placements here in BC as well. So these are a little bit different from co-op in that they're generally shorter and more intensive. So they're not necessarily a full-time 4-month commitment. It could be several weeks. It could be several days a week over a semester where students are going to come into a workplace and get some practical experience in the workplace and support the employer with whatever their needs are. Practicums and placements are another type of work integrated learning here in BC. Now, this is usually a type of work experience where the student is actually looking to get work experience, moving towards getting some type of license or certification. So a good example of this would be nursing, where the students actually have to get a certain amount of practical experience to be able to get their license down the road. Service learning is one of our other types of work integrated learning. Service learning is where students actually work in partnership with community-based organizations. So sometimes this is on a volunteer basis. And I'm excited because Melissa will be talking, I believe, a little bit about one of the exciting projects coming up here in Prince George with Community Futures that falls under this umbrella. And then lastly, we have work experience. So the work experience program is generally 1 or 2 work terms where the student is going to go out, work with some type of organization and really get some practical experience related to what they're studying. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a sense of kind of the overall landscape of types of work integrated learning programs. As you can see, there's a lot of options for ways that your organization can partner with post-secondaries and bring students on board. So I want to pass it back to Christy so we can move on and find out a little bit more about how CNC and UNBC run some of these types of programs at their institutions.
Great, thanks so much, Kristen. It's wonderful to have Talent Forward in Prince George, and of course the BC Chamber, to have them back in Prince George again. I have many, many great memories and experiences with the BC Chamber, so this just adds to that big bunch. So now we'll move right into presentations from our local post-secondary institutions. I am happy to introduce Melissa Fournier. So Melissa started with the College of New Caledonia last fall to support the Work Integrated Learning Initiative. Her passion for education and encouraging others to pursue their academic and employment goals is now being translated into supporting student to employment connection. Melissa.
Great, thank you so much, Christy. I'll just take a moment here to share my screen. I just want to ensure that everybody can see presentation mode here. Perfect, thank you. So again, thank you for that introduction. Thank you to the BC and Prince George Chamber of Commerce for the opportunity to be here today. It's always great to have a chance to represent CNC and engage with community to talk about work integrated learning. So as Christy mentioned, my name is Melissa Fournier and I'm with the College of New Caledonia. I'm in the Center for Teaching and Learning where I help with work integrated learning. So on the screen is my contact information. I believe there's a one-pager that's going to be made available as well. I just wanted to ensure to mention this early to please feel free to contact me at any point after this presentation for any follow-up questions or discussion that might come up. So here's a quick look at what I'll be covering today during our WIL talk. I'm going to start off with a quick overview of CNC before moving on to discuss WIL that's happening at the program level. Then we'll move on to look at what CNC is doing for online WIL opportunities and finish up with mention of what's in the works and moving forward. The College of New Caledonia is a public community college dedicated to helping meet the adult and post-secondary educational needs of Northern BC since 1969. Our commitment is to provide programming that meets local, regional, and provincial labor market and economic needs across the 6 campus locations. As we can see in the bottom right of the screen, CNC plays an important role in training and educating students in arts and science, business, developmental studies, engineering and applied science, health and human social services, and trades. And coming up, we're going to explore some of the WIL types that are occurring within some of these program areas. The information that we see up on the screen was captured from the 2019-2020 Accountability Report and provides a general overview of information inclusive of all campuses. So we're starting off with taking a look at the overall enrollment across CNC campuses, and we'll move on to look at Prince George specific information shortly. From the total number of enrollment that we're seeing up on the screen, there was approximately 12% of total students overall that participated in some type of work integrated learning. Now, more specifically, looking to total Prince George campus enrollment, 16.5% of total students participated in WIL within the PG area. Keeping on with specifics to Prince George, at the program level, this equates to dispersed work integrated learning across programming in areas of business, engineering and applied science, health, human and social services, and trades, for a total of 936 total student experiences. The emerging student talent that we're seeing at CNC is participating in a variety of types of work integrated learning, like Kristen was speaking of earlier, such as apprenticeships, applied research, clinicals, field placements, practicums, and work experience. Now, to name a couple of examples, business includes practicum in the administrative assistant certificate studies. Health includes clinical placements in the dental hygiene programming within CNC's own dental clinic setting. Web and graphic design program includes work experience for students to complete real workplace tasks like cloud-based organizational templates or style guides as some examples. It's important here to mention that the varying types of WIL at CNC are not uniformed. They occur at different times throughout programming, different intervals, and within different timeframes. WIL fosters for students to develop an understanding of the upcoming needs for employability. StatsCan has reported that work integrated learning is linked to an increased prospect for student employment after graduation. But why? Well, students who participate in WIL are taking part in a genuine real workplace environment or project and experience the nuances that go along with culture, interpersonal skills, critical thinking, conflict resolution that often accompany the work environments. Now, by doing so, students have an opportunity to monitor their learning by linking what's being learned in the classroom to their experiences and develop tools for self-assessment, setting goals, and evaluating their learning for areas of adjustment, better preparing them for the workplace in the future. WIL creates confidence and is truly valuable to the student journey. WIL leverages for students to make informed choices to manage future career aspirations and decisions. Recent WIL student feedback in the web and graphic design program provided an appreciation for the experience to utilize their skills and link them to community contacts. Students who participate in WIL understand the benefits to give forward to emerging talent. As stated by previous ProCook program student, who is now a host and mentor of WIL Opportunities herself, she helps incoming workers navigate the industry. Having industry, community, and business offer their expertise to students in guidance and mentorship benefits the student to acquire real workplace experiential learning during their studies, and also benefits the organizations who will be looking to hire new graduates. WIL helps to shape the future workforce. In addition to coaching and mentoring bright and enthusiastic students, the feedback and evaluations from work placements help to shape any needed adjustments, making you a partner in delivering an education that is responsive to industry needs. On the screen, we see a testimonial from a local chef who has been a great help to host and coach ProCook students. Now, shifting into pandemic created some challenges for WIL at CNC, and keeping WIL opportunities going was imperative. So especially when the BC labor market outlook pre-pandemic had already established for the region to have a predicted higher demand and shortage for high opportunity occupations. Additionally, 77% of the anticipated job openings in BC are determined to require some level of post-secondary education or training. So WIL programs contribute to building a skilled and productive labor force while helping to combat labor market shortages. These are important connections to keep going for both student and community. We continued with some face-to-face work experience placements, such as with culinary programming, and with the assistance of the establishments and CNC to ensure student safety and appropriate protocols. I actually just found out this morning, and I'm happy to share this, that 2 of the student placements during pandemic have now been hired by 2 Prince George establishments, and they're working as a result from their WIL experiences. Also, CNC was fortunate to already have on board the Ripen Platform going into pandemic, and Ripen is virtual project-based work integrated learning, which connects opportunities from employers right into classroom curriculum. The Ripen Platform provided the ability to continue connecting companies to educators and students remotely. Projects through Ripen offer students micro experiential learning and can range in timeframes from hours, days, or weeks. Employers can tackle project-based objectives while accessing new talent and investigate potential prospects, maybe for future employment as well. So Ripen positions the college well for innovative and accessible work integrated learning opportunities for the students. And we'll be continuing with Ripen going into the next academic year. But it begins with making the right connections to curriculum. So if you as an organization have an idea brewing, you have a potential project in mind that might fit, please do reach out and contact me to discuss the opportunity. Upcoming for WIL at CNC is the Working to Learn project. This is a collaboration between Community Futures, UNBC, and CNC for service learning to connect students to WIL opportunities with nonprofits in the region. They'll be completing applied research projects. The student experiences are scheduled to begin in the fall. At CNC, we're looking to grow work integrated learning and bridge existing gaps towards growing our WIL community and available experiences for our students. We want to hear from you, the community, as to how work integrated learning opportunities could fit in your organization. WIL can only happen through the connection with post-secondary to business, community, and organizations such as yourselves. So as mentioned before, please do reach out to discuss any WIL ideas or how virtual or in-person WIL opportunities could work for you. Thank you for your time today.
Great. Thank you so much, Melissa. That was just full of excellent information for our Prince George businesses. And as Kristen mentioned in the chat, I wanted to just encourage you, if you do have any questions for Melissa, or as we continue moving forward throughout the session, please do submit them through the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to be addressed later. So now, similar yet different, which is always the case between CNC and UNBC, we will learn about UNBC's WIL programs. It's a pleasure to introduce my colleague, Jennifer Cole. Jennifer is the co-op coordinator at UNBC, has worked at the university for over 13 years, and is a recent MBA graduate. And I would be remiss in mentioning also that Melissa and Jen went through the same program together. So it wasn't part of her bio, but just had to get that plug in there. Jennifer is also the past president of JCI Prince George and is excited to work with businesses in the region to both grow the co-op program at UNBC and to enrich area businesses.
Great. Thank you, Christy. I will also work to share my screen. There we go. So hello, and thank you to the BC and Prince George Chamber of Commerce and to Talent Forward for hosting today's webinar. As mentioned, my name is Jennifer Cole, and I am the co-op coordinator at UNBC. Melissa has mentioned many of the great benefits of work integrated learning for students and for employers. And now I am excited to let you know about the work integrated learning opportunities that exist here at the university. My contact information is on this slide, but I also have a contact slide at the end of the presentation for the various contacts for the various types of work integrated learning that I will be talking about. So at UNBC, we have 3 such areas that I will touch on today. We have curricular internships, field placement, practicums, and clinical placements, as well as the area that I will speak mainly about, which is co-op education. So at UNBC, 3 programs have curricular internships. meaning that the work experience is for credit and is part of the student's actual degree requirements. The students must take an internship in order to obtain their degree. Eligible students are usually in their 3rd or 4th year of study in environmental science, environmental and sustainability studies, or First Nation studies. There are other programs at the university that have curricular internships, but these are the 3 that have them included right into their degree requirements. The benefits of hiring a student for an internship include hiring skilled and motivated students who are wanting to both learn and contribute to your organization. It could be a way for you to solve a challenge that your company is facing by making use of the current knowledge that the students bring. And it is a way to introduce to your companies to potential employees once they graduate. Curricular internship students are available throughout the calendar year, depending on their program and their course schedule, as the internships are usually taken at the same time as other courses. It is not usually a full-time position. We also have field placements, practicums, and clinical placements at UNBC, and they are necessary for our professional programs in nursing, social work, and education. Similar to the curricular internships, the placements and practicums are required for the students to obtain their degree and professional designations. These are also an opportunity for mutual learning and contributions as students apply their knowledge from their curriculum to their sectors. At UNBC, the co-op education program has been in a rebuilding phase over the last about 2 years, and as the program has reemerged as a priority for the university and work integrated learning in general. We currently have approximately 75 students in the program, and this includes all majors in commerce, such as marketing, accounting, and human resources, computer science, engineering, both the UNBC civil and environmental programs, and from environmental science. Students are also in environmental and sustainability studies and all majors under our ecosystem science and management umbrella, such as biology, forest ecology and management, and wildlife and fisheries. As the program continues to build, we are focusing on additional majors so that in a few years, all of the students at UNBC in all majors will be eligible to apply to the co-op program. There are many benefits to hiring a co-op student into your organization. Students are cost effective as they are paid an appropriate salary according to the industry and the level of responsibility of the position. Co-op students apply to be in the co-op program, so they are pre-screened by the co-op department. And once they are accepted into the program, they are enrolled in pre-employment workshops, such as resume writing, professional communication skills, teamwork, and how to navigate conflict in the workplace, so they are more prepared for the work integrated learning experience in your organization. Employers also receive support during the hiring process, as the co-op office will post positions and collect resumes if required. As will be touched on a little bit later, there are potential grants and subsidies available for hiring co-op students in some sectors that may make it more feasible for smaller businesses. And as we're addressing in this webinar in general, co-op is a way to fill the talent pipeline. Employers will have access to current knowledge and young talent. You can look at this pipeline as a way of replacing upcoming retirements, exploring new positions that you are thinking of hiring, but you're not quite sure if you're going to commit to that permanently yet, or filling a position to complete a short-term project that would not be a permanent hire at all. If you do end up hiring a co-op student that you have had after they graduate, you also decrease the orientation time required. And again, as is a current focus of this webinar, you are able to build capacity in our region and create interest in your industry with the leaders of tomorrow. The co-op positions themselves are paid full-time positions that last 4 or 8 months, but could extend up to 12 months at a time. The positions start at the beginning of each academic semester, being January, May, or September, which may help you with peak times for your business. After a student completes a co-op term, they return to the university for an academic term and alternate the terms throughout their degree. In order for students to have the co-op designation on their degree parchment, they complete 3 co-op terms, or 4 if they're engineering, during their degree. As noted, if you have a job posting, you can email it to co-op@unbc.ca and it will be posted on the co-op job board, which is only visible to co-op students in the program. There is also a general job board, which is listed on the contacts page, which you'll see in just a moment, hire students at unbc.ca. If you're looking to hire students that don't fit into the co-op category, but you are just looking for part-time students or things like that to fulfill other situations in your organization. Once the co-op job is posted, students apply directly to the employer, though as mentioned, if needed, I can help collect resumes. And then the students go through the employer's regular hiring process. If successful, the student starts the job at the beginning of the semester, and I will be in contact for a mid-semester check-in approximately a month and a half into the term. Due to the current COVID restrictions, the check-ins are usually on the phone or via a Zoom chat, but in time, hopefully we'll be back to actual on-site visits. I check in to make sure that everything is going well, and if not, if there are issues that need to be mitigated. At the end of the work term, I will send out an employee evaluation form for your feedback on the performance of the student, as well as your feedback on the co-op program itself in general, so that we can continually improve as we grow. If the work term is for 8 months, we will go through the midterm and end of term processes twice, as we count that as 2 work terms, and the students grow and experience more as the months progress. There have been employers who have hired UNBC co-op students as they have been very impressed with their talent and want them to be part of their organization permanently. As mentioned, students need to return to UNBC after their work term to complete their academic studies, but the position has been offered to the student so that when they do graduate, they begin right away with the organization. Ascentech Solutions is one such company in Prince George who has hired a co-op student that worked for them. So today I have covered the 3 main areas where UNBC currently offers work integrated learning. Here you will see the list of contacts of all areas, but if in doubt, please just email me at co-op@unbc.ca and we will direct your inquiry to the appropriate place. There is also currently a Tri-Universities project involving UNBC, Thompson Rivers University, and UBC Okanagan that is trying to find out how to better connect with small to medium-sized businesses in the region and to discover what the barriers are in hiring co-op students. So you may hear from Mindy at UNBC or someone else on the team regarding this initiative as well. If that is something that you have questions about, please also send your questions to co-op@unbc.ca. Thank you for your time and for your interest in learning about work integrated learning at UNBC. And now back to you, Christy.
That was great. Thank you very much, Jen. I'm sure between your information and Melissa's, businesses have much interest in work integrated learning and hopefully many questions. But before we move into Q&A, we will take a few minutes to hear from Kristen Emmel, who's on today as well, about what supports are available to employers through the Industry Training Authority. So Kristen is an apprenticeship advisor with the ITA. She is passionate about the skilled trades and truly believes there is a trade for everyone. We're looking forward to knowing which trade mine is later, Kristen. So whether you are an employer, apprentice, or someone looking to start their skilled trades journey, Kristen can answer your questions or help guide you in the right direction.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Christy, and hello to everyone. As Christy mentioned, my name is Kristen Emmel, and I am very grateful to be able to connect with you all today. I am lucky enough to be talking to you from the Tanaha First Nation. I'm going to keep my presentation relatively brief. The presenters before us have provided great information about all the opportunities that are available through CNC and UBC, and I truly hope that you guys take some time to explore some of those options for yourself, your staff, your students, your children, as there are amazing opportunities available right in our backyard. So what I am going to highlight for you, and I'm hopeful that you can see the ITA screen here, is the support that's available to you once a career path has been chosen in the trades. Regardless of if you're a business considering employing apprentices, if you're an apprentice yourself, the support that ITA will provide to you is one-on-one advising and counseling to make sure that your pathway through the system is as smooth as possible. So I'm an apprenticeship advisor with the Industry Training Authority. It's our mandate to coordinate the skilled trade system in BC. We work with employers, apprentices, industry, labor, training providers, government, of course, issue credentials, support apprenticeships, fund programs, set standards, and increase opportunities for you in the trades. For myself, my region covers nearly the entire central interior, so Bella Coola, Valemont, out to Houston, out to Mackenzie. If you are working in the trades or supporting apprenticeship in that area of the province, I am your go-to advisor. And I will support all of the certifiable trades in BC, of which there are over 100 different ones to choose from, if you can believe it. So as an advisor, I am here to assist you with any and all aspects of your apprenticeship. There are 20 different advisors available through ITA across the province. As you can see on the front page here, this lovely Find an Advisor button will take you to the list of all of my talented colleagues anywhere in the province who are more than willing to support you through your apprenticeship journey. If you're curious about the variety of trades, as I mentioned before, there are over 100 available in BC. The list of all of the certifiable trades in British Columbia can be found here as well. So Christy, for you later, I do recommend that you hit this Find My Trade button. And here it lists all of the different certifiable trades available in British Columbia, many of which you can train for right in Prince George and find really meaningful, amazing career opportunities available after your completion. So it is my responsibility to help you navigate this entire system, to make sure that you're certified, to ensure that you receive your credentials and are set up on a path to have a successful career. So please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you have. Like I say, I'm here to support businesses, employers, apprentices, and there is a wealth of information available about trades training here on the ITA website at itabc.ca. And here under employer resources, we'll get you started as well. If you are not looking to get into a trade yourself and you are looking to engage with the apprenticeship system, I would definitely recommend exploring this a little bit. Or please do feel free to give me a call or email. And I know that Kristen and the team at Talent Forward will be sharing all of our contact information. So I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today. I just want to extend a really huge thank you to the team at Talent Forward, the Prince George Chamber of Commerce, of course, all of the organizers and sponsors, most importantly, all of you for giving up your time today to participate in this webinar. So Christy, I'll pass it back to you and thank you all very much.
Great, thanks so much, Kristen. I am actually going to call again on Kristen Vandegreen because she's going to talk very briefly about other funding resources that may be available for businesses.
Great. Yes, thank you. So yes, we did want to let you know that there are some funding options available to you as a business for hiring student talent. And we've actually put together a lot of resources through Talent Forward that can help you with this. We've got some resources that highlight a lot of the common funding that's provincial funding and federal funding. And with the budgets just having been released this past week, we are hoping to have some more updates on some of the programs and hoping to see some of the programs that have been closed open up again so that you can take advantage of those for your organization. I wanted to highlight one specific type of funding that is used quite a bit when hiring student talent, and that is the Student Work Placement Program. So this is a federal funded program, and it's open to Canadian businesses and nonprofits to take advantage of. This program offers wage subsidy, and up until just this past week, we thought that the wage subsidy was going to be 50% coverage, but with the new budget for summer, if you're hiring a student for this summer, the coverage for the wage subsidy has actually gone up to 75%. So you can imagine if you're looking to pay a student and you have a 75% wage coverage, that makes a huge difference. And so it might mean that you can bring a student on full-time for just a couple $1,000s over 4 months. So that's a really great deal. And we're really happy that the federal government is providing this support to businesses. So with this program, how it works is that the funding is distributed through 12 industry partners. Each industry partner has a little bit of a different industry focus, but there are a few programs that are more general in nature or might have a more broader focus, like maybe a digital or technology type of a focus. And with so many people working remotely, right now, it's really easy to create positions that do use technology and would be eligible for this funding. So generally applying for this type of funding, if you meet the eligibility requirements, it is fairly straightforward and you can find out quickly whether or not you're approved or not. So we do really encourage you to take advantage of this funding opportunity. If you do have any questions about connecting to the funding and figuring out which funding you need to be applying to, you're more than welcome to reach out to us at Talent Forward and we can talk you through that. If you have a role that maybe you're not sure if it would fall or be eligible for the funding, again, we can help connect you to the right funding program to get those questions answered. So we provided a link here. We'll be sending the link out as well, but we do have a page on the BC Chamber site that talks about some of the different funding options, and in particular lists all of the different types of industry SWEP partners, Student Work Placement Program partners on their website with connections to their website. So you can take a look at the eligibility criteria and process to take advantage of that funding. And like I said, hopefully we're going to have some updated information very soon on some of the other types of funding programs available as well, so that you can bring students on board your organization. So that's all for me. Again, if you do have some questions, feel free to reach out. We also did want to mention that through our partner, ACEWIL, ACEWIL again is the professional association that supports work integrated learning across all public post-secondary schools. There are some resources that you can take advantage of on that site. One is that there's a post and opportunity portal there. So we definitely encourage you, reach out to Melissa, reach out to Jennifer. But if you're looking to post a job to multiple institutions at the same time, you're able to do that through the Post and Opportunity portal on the ACEWIL site. Again, we'll make sure that we send you that link. And if you're looking for a very specific type of WIL program that maybe isn't a program that's available at CNC or UNBC, you can actually use the ACEWIL site to search different types of WIL and co-op programs as well, to find out what other types of programs might be available to you. So we've again provided those links and we hope that you take advantage of them. All right, so I'm going to pass it back over to Christy. I saw that we had a couple of questions come in, and so I'm hoping that we'll have a chance to address those now.
Yes, thank you. Excellent. And what a wealth of information presented to us today. I'm not sure that I realize the extent to which BC students are really available to support our local businesses and really the potential resources that exist to help make it happen. it's far more extensive than I realized, and hopefully there are many people on this call who are in the same boat and hopefully have a number of questions. So let's open up the Q&A now. And I do understand that we received a few questions prior to the session, so over the last couple of weeks as well. So hopefully we'll have a chance to get to those too. So looks as though in our Q&A section, we've got a question from Andy Beasley, Prince George Cougars. So we, Prince George Cougars, have interest in these programs, but our opportunities don't come close to fitting into a specific box. We prefer to learn what interests a student has and how and if we could potentially tailor an opportunity around them. We've found that talking with groups of students about the types of work we do and how we could possibly create a student situation for them is the best approach. Do you have this type of approach available? And maybe we'll just start, we'll go one by one, and maybe Melissa, do you want to get us started?
Sure, can do. Thanks, Christy. Thank you for the question. We don't currently have a model that would speak to groups of students to see what opportunities would suit them as far as will. However, I can say that there's a lot of different ways to get creative with work integrated learning depending on the needs of the organization. And it's just essentially finding that right fit. Whether it's virtually with the Ripen Platform, maybe it's a project that could be tackled, and then we just link that directly to a classroom curriculum, or maybe it's an in-person opportunity through practicum or work placement that just hasn't been linked up yet to the appropriate programming. So I would love to have that conversation to see what are the needs of the organization and how CNC could support that and you know, make those connections.
Jen, please feel free to jump in if you'd like to add anything.
Sure, thanks, Christy, and thanks for the question about the Prince George Cougars. At UNBC, we have a couple of different ways that you could reach out to students. We can either host a Zoom call. Usually we would host people on campus to actually talk to students, but as we know, that's not happening at the moment. But we can still do a virtual meeting. We can advertise to the students if you have time to talk to them about different opportunities that either you have with the Cougars or that the students are interested in, and see if there's any kind of mesh there. I'm always available also for a conversation, and I can see sort of what networks I can reach out and talk to the students, see what they're interested in, and kind of match people up. And there's always, depending on the types of opportunities, we can talk specifically to certain classes. If it's a marketing class or a human resources class or a forestry class, depending on the opportunity available, and then we can start the conversation that way.
Great, thank you guys. Some great information for Andy with the Cougars. So just a call out to other participants, please do feel free to put some questions in the Q&A. You know, certainly no questions too small, and you know, if it is something that requires follow-up afterward, then that's totally fine too. But let's just make the connection with our folks that we've got here as panelists. And while you think about questions that you might want to put into the Q&A function, I will maybe just go to some of those other ones that Kristen had emailed to her previously. So let's see, because Melissa, because you started last time, let's point this one toward Jen first. This one is that the person is interested in hiring a student, but they're concerned that they won't have enough work for them for a 4-month co-op term. So what types of work do co-op students normally do to fill up their work terms?
Okay, thanks for the question. There's a variety of different things. as I mentioned, we do have the 4-month and the 8-month potential work terms. And one thing I didn't mention is if a company has a place for a co-op student, but they want to hire them part-time for 8 months, we can count that as a 4-month co-op work term as far as the student's progress is concerned. So if there is work there that might actually last for longer, so if it'll last for the 8 months, we could do a part-time co-op work term for that. Other than that, there's just a variety of different things. Students, a lot of students will be in sort of one particular job or one particular project, but we can also look at what other opportunities might be available within the organization and that we could fill in the time. The work terms are basically, it needs to be 12 weeks or 420 hours to be a co-op work term. So I would just work with the employer to find out sort of what those possibilities are and if there is a way to make it enough work to be a co-op term. And if it isn't, then there's always hiring a student just as a part-time worker through the Hire Students board. It just wouldn't be a co-op work term.
Great, and I'm sure that a lot of the scenarios are very similar between institutions. But Melissa, if there is anything separate that you wanted to add to Jennifer's response, please do feel free to pipe up. And then I was hoping that while you're doing that, also you could maybe mention specific to the Ripen platform. Very, very interesting. I remember hearing about it actually back when I was with the Chamber a number of years ago, but wonder if you could mention examples of opportunities that could be posted on that Ripen platform for short-term projects.
Sure. Yeah. And Jen did great speaking specifically to co-op. At CNC, we have other types of will available that's embedded within programming, but I'd be more than happy to, connect with anybody that has maybe some more specific questions to that. But yeah, I just want to give kudos to my peer, Jen. So the Ripen platform has been something that's worked really well, especially during pandemic. Pandemic sort of, steered the way to explore virtual work integrated learning a little bit more. And it really provides connection for employers to provide a project-based opportunity, which then a faculty member will the discussion happens at the course level with the faculty member to embed that opportunity right into their curriculum. And so projects can range. Like I said, they can be from hours to days, weeks, months. It just depends on the right opportunity linking to the right course at CNC. And so it's across disciplines. It's quite open. It's not narrowed focus within any sort of specific type of project, and even sometimes folks might think, oh, well, I don't know if there's really any course that this project would fit within, but it's always worth having the conversation because we might be quite surprised at which course could actually incorporate that project work into it. So, I mean, it ranges, it's wide open. Did that answer your question, Christy?
Yes, I think so.
Perfect.
Absolutely. It sounds like a great platform, certainly.
It really is. And there's all sorts of supports built right into Ripen. They're quite a good organization to work with. And so for organizations, I mean, it is, how do we say, there is fees built in. However, CNC is a partner with Ripen. So any organization that identifies a project and we can link to a course, we could pull them in on what's called a school pass. And so it's a really great opportunity for organizations to get some exposure to Ripen and kind of see what's available through it.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's move on to a different topic and the next question. Jen, this person's business is remote. So they're wondering if they could hire a student to work remotely for their business.
Absolutely. As Melissa mentioned, things changed a lot in the last year and a bit. So this time last year, my answer would have been probably different. But yes, we do have remote placements, and actually the ACEWIL that Kristen had mentioned, they have different things that organizations can look at, different resources on onboarding remotely, and because everybody had to change. So they, if you're wanting to hire remotely, but you're not sure how, how do you onboard a student who's in Prince George and their, the job is in, I don't know, Bella Coola or Fort St. James or somewhere, then there are resources for onboarding, kind of how to supervise somebody remotely, things like that, which are very helpful. So yes, we are open to that for sure.
Excellent. Melissa, I want to direct this one toward you. It's a little bit similar to one of the questions from a moment ago, but the question is, I'm looking for a student for a short project. I'm not sure co-op is the best option as it may be too long. Do you have any student talent programs that would work for a shorter time frame?
Absolutely. And I'd love to hear sort of what time frame the question is geared around, but I would say yes, that there would be some sort of opportunity that it could quite possibly fit with. Our practicum placements, for example, within the administrative assistant program are split into two sections, if you will, where one is a shorter length, the next one is a longer length. So maybe, looking at an opportunity like that. Also, I'm going to circle back to the Ripen Platform because I heard project, and then maybe there's opportunities around utilizing that tool to fulfill the project need for the organization.
And I would just mention from the UNBC side, depending on what the project is focusing on, that could be something, depending on the length and the intricacy of it, could be something for one of the curricular internship programs that might be a fit as well.
Excellent, thank you both. And Melissa, you were wondering about the time frame. I don't have any more information within this. I don't know if the individual who asked the question is on the call today or not, but if they are and feel like writing into the Q&A section, then that would be great. And potentially you could address it a little bit more specifically. But in the meantime, we do have a few more questions. I don't see anybody adding anything to the Q&A yet, but we do still have a couple more questions from previous submissions. So I can't remember who I started with last time. Melissa, let's go to you. Are students usually hired as employees or contractors? Do I need to pay WCB and other employee contributions on their behalf?
That's a great question. So the WIL, for the most part, that we have going, maybe aside from the apprenticeships, are non-paid placements at this time. And so the students are covered under the insurance from the institution. Now, this will probably differ from the information that Jen provides, but that is what's happening for WIL from the CNC perspective at this time.
And I will take that lead in. Thank you, Melissa. Yes, we are different. So as a co-op student, students are an actual employee of the organization. So they are treated just like any employee and covered as a regular employee would be.
Great, thank you guys. Jen, let's go to you. How much support how much support do the post-secondary schools provide in the hiring process for co-op?
For the hiring process itself, I can assist organizations if they don't have an actual job posting, they don't know what needs to be included in a posting, things like that, I can help them build that. Then from there, I post the job for the organization. And then depending on what the employer prefers, as I mentioned, they can the students can apply directly to the organization. If it's a larger organization that has an HR department, that's usually what happens. But if it's a smaller organization that doesn't have an HR department, I can always work to collect the resumes and cover letters and any other information that's required. And then I can send all of that at the application cutoff time. I can send that information to the employer. And then they go from there as far as who they want to interview. Once it comes to interviews and things like that, I am basically sort of out of the picture, but I can help the process up to that point.
Melissa, did you want to add anything there?
I don't have anything else to add to that one.
Okay.
Thank you though, Christy.
No problem. So I'll put one more call out to the participants for questions. We're going to wrap up here pretty quickly, but any last questions, please do feel free to put it in the Q&A. If I was any good at humming, I'd hum the Jeopardy theme song. I don't know, a few minutes, give you a chance. Todd, you'd be really good at that. Todd's still on there. You could hum the theme song, couldn't you? I hear no response from Todd. That's probably quite telling in itself.
Can you hear me?
Oh, can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm going to refrain. I don't think anyone needs to hear that.
All right, fair enough. Well, we are not getting any more questions through the Q&A, so we'll wrap up for today. Thank you so much to Talent Forward, our primary sponsor, and the BC Chamber, and of course the Prince George Chamber for providing today's session. To our presenters for taking the time out of their day to outline their institution's specific WIL programming, and to the businesses joining us online today. Let's work together to ensure that our students and our businesses have the resources necessary to succeed and to grow our community. You are going to receive a post-session survey along with a summary of the types of WIL from both UNBC and CNC. Please provide your input on the webinar and let us know if you would like any additional information. And don't forget, the recording of today's session will be up shortly on the PG Chamber website. We are ending a little bit early, but we give you half an hour in your afternoon back as a parting gift from the session. So there you go. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.